Welcome to the Horror Unmasked podcast,
where we unmask the monsters
and explore the lore.
I'm Amber.
And I'm Lily, and today we will be dissecting
Until Dawn.
Let's Survive the Night.
1 year after Melanie's mysterious disappearance, her sister Clover and her friends set out on a journey to uncover the truth behind the unsettling events that occurred in a remote valley. As they are driving around, they stop at a gas station where a man tells Clover to check the abandoned visitor center. On their way there, a storm begins, and as they approach, the rain suddenly is clear, but only around the visitor center. As they explore, Nina writes her name in the welcome book, and Abe finds a wall of missing persons posters, while the others look around. As night falls, the group finds themselves being hunted by a masked figure wielding a deadly weapon, brutally eliminating them one by one. Just when all hope seems lost, they wake up, back at the start of the same evening, realizing they might be forced to relive the same nightmare. The second time around, Clover gets dragged into a witch's hut where she is warned that the only chance of survival is to make it until dawn. Name drop.
Yes. Confused and terrified, they soon realize that they are trapped in a time loop where each death resets the night, and they begin to notice scary changes to their bodies. However, the killer is never the same. Each cycle introduces a new and more horrifying threat, ranging from grotesque creatures to vengeful spirits. One night, the group decides to hide in the bathroom until dawn, but even the water is explosively deadly.
Mm-hmm.
Literally.
Yeah.
Desperation sets in as they try to decipher the cryptic messages left behind by previous victims, warning them that their deaths are not infinite. While searching for more clues to help them escape, the group goes downstairs, noticing strange details, such as windows that are completely blocked by dirt.
Mm-hmm.
In their search, the group finds evidence telling them that the valley experienced an earthquake that buried the city underground.
Which is intense.
That is very
like
intense.
An entire city.
The entire city just, boom, under the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly, the radio comes to life, and the same man from the gas station states that his name is Dr. Hill. Hill explains that each reset brings them closer to becoming Wendigos.
Wendigos.
As their repeated nights of fear bring them closer to that change, leaving them trapped in the valley forever.
Dun, dun, dun. Spoiler warning. Skip ahead. As they search for a way out, the group uncovers evidence that the valley was once the site of a secret psychological experiment designed to test human survival instincts under extreme conditions.
Crazy.
Mm-hmm. Although it was officially abandoned decades ago, Dr. Hill seems to have kept it running. Taunting Clover, Hill tricks her into going into the woods to search for her sister, where she gets caught in a bear trap, which was so painful to watch.
Yeah.
Max then chases after Clover and releases her from the trap when they see Melanie, now a deformed and terrifying monster. The group realizes that Nina's name has now appeared in the book more times than any other guest, making them unsure of how much time they have left. As each cycle progresses, the group's memories begin to fade, making it increasingly difficult to remember what has happened. They suddenly realize Megan is missing, and Abe discovers videos on his phone from the previous loops of the group, where they find a video of Megan following Dr. Hill through the double doors leading to the buried town, which is wild.
Crazy shit. As their chances of survival diminish, the friends come up with a plan to help Megan and try to escape once and for all. The group decides the best way to survive is to stick together, but are separated by the masked killer that's been hunting them throughout the loops.
Classic.
Classic. In their separation, Clover finds Megan trapped, tied to a chair in a room with a chained-up Wendigo.
Mm-hmm.
While the rest of the group runs away, trying to find a way to kill the killer. In her search for the keys to free Megan, Clover finds Dr. Hill's office, where he has been watching the group on CCTVs during their stay.
Yep.
Yeah. While Clover is rummaging through the drawers to find the keys, Dr. Hill appears and tells Clover that everything the group is experiencing is all her fault, pulling thoughts and fears from her mind to create these nightmares.
Which is wild.
Yeah. While he's rambling, Clover notices a dripping pipe near Dr. Hill's coffee. As Dr. Hill turns his back on Clover, she quickly sneaks his mug under the water and back before he can notice.
Smart.
Yeah, very. Meanwhile, the rest of the group manages to corner the masked killer. Dr. Hill takes a sip from his cup, where he then explodes, as the others are finally able to smash the killer's head.
Hell yeah.
Clover grabs the keys to free Megan just in time as they all run to freedom, clawing through the dirt, finding themselves outside the Welcome Center as the rain fades away and the rays of sunlight peek over the horizon. The loop has ended. Or has it?
The end. Yeah, no, this movie was great.
I agree.
We had a lot of fun coming out of this, especially our conversations we had
Afterwards,
yeah.
It made me like it even more.
Yeah.
Like the realizations that we had connecting it to
The game. Yeah. Because this is inspired off of the original game Until Dawn, which was amazing. It's like a 10-hour game. It's intense.
And I've sat and played it in one night. I've done it. Definitely.
And it's branching paths, all focuses on butterfly effect and everything like that. So choices are a very big point in that game.
And spoiler alert, there's Wendigos.
And there's Wendigos. Yeah, definitely. So this movie was released April 25th, 2025. So this one literally just came out. The director is David F. Sandberg. It's distributed by Sony Pictures. Releasing, and it is a R-rated movie, and it is horror survival, and that's all I have.
Horror survival is...
Yeah. Which is classic.
Real.
Until Dawn is a horror survival game.
You don't have budget or box office or anything?
Nothing.
Okay. I got both of that. So their budget was $15 million. And worldwide, it's...
So far,
it's only made just under $50 million.
Which is still...
So that's...
pretty good for having a 15 budget.
Yeah. Not bad. They definitely made money back. So
Yeah. I remember seeing an article talking about the monetary stuff, and I guess like the last one that had to come out from the distributing company didn't do well, and it like within like the first week had already broke even and surpassed that. Faster than their previous film. Oh, it was Wolfman.
Oh.
The previous movie was Wolfman, and Wolfman did not do very well.
No.
And so when this one came out and broke even and surpassed it far quicker, they were already like, okay, thank God. This is such a better film already because of everything. And, you know, so I'm expecting that number to rise.
For this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is really good. I mean, I was kind of disappointed in other people's reactions because no one's talking about it really in, you know, my life. It doesn't feel like it's been promoted that much.
I think too many people wanted it to be the video game, but I think this is a better option.
I agree. I agree very much.
Because it expands the world.
It expands the world. It doesn't make it so we're just on a snowy mountain.
Yeah.
Near an asylum.
Because the other problem with trying to do Until Dawn's video game version is what version of the game is it that you actually want to have as the ending?
Right.
because hello, when you have a video game that has multiple endings and many branching paths, trying to say which one is the one true ending, you're gonna have way more people being divisive on that one.
Because I'm gonna tell you, my one true ending for me, no one makes it. Because realistically, none of them fucking would
make it. Yeah. Because there are mythological beings that are way faster and way more capable than you. And indestructible on a level that's, you know, like, but because of video game logic, you're able to, you know.
Right. Like, it takes burning them or what? Chopping their heads off?
No, just burning them.
Just burning them?
It's burning them or containing them.
Because because their skin is...
Because if you burn them, in the game, the Wendigos, the way that they work is if you burn them, it kills them.
Yeah.
But it also releases the Wendigo spirit back into the air and can then infiltrate another person. So it's better to contain them than to kill them. Because if you kill them, it releases the Wendigo spirit back into the world, giving it another chance to infect another person, creating another Wendigo.
Crazy.
So
she's lore dropping stuff before I can.
And that's just from the video game.
Yeah. You learn a lot from that. They tell you a lot.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you more.
Classic video game. They provide a lot of lore and information for that. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that was box office. The Rotten Tomatoes score, that's what I mean by like the reviews for this were like 53%.
But it's also, we also have to remember that hasn't even been out for a month yet.
Yeah. True. But
So
also
it's,
when Companion came out, that one had like 90 immediately and it stayed that way.
It just depends. It also has to depend on the market. It's another video game movie. And we already know that that's a divisive
That's true.
genre because people get so particular about it.
Yeah.
So it's one of those situations where it's like, this one is more of a let it simmer and see what happens.
That's why when I went into this movie, I genuinely was like already like whatever they put on the screen, like in my brain it was like, I don't think it's gonna live up to what it is.
You came in there with an expectation but tried to like,
my expectation was on the ground basically.
Yeah. Whereas I came in there with,
because I didn't want an expectation.
I came in there with no expectations, but you came in there with like a little bit of preceding mind thoughts.
Yes, not good expectations.
Yes.
I had bad expectations.
Yeah. Whereas I came in there with none, zero.
Yeah. And I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
And I did that because I was like, well, I don't want to go in there being like, this is going to be so good. They're going to do such a great job. And then be absolutely disappointed.
Yeah.
But
they did really good with it, yeah.
Vice versa, for sure.
Yeah.
Like all the little...
There's a lot of Easter eggs. There's a lot of little nods and stuff that's in it.
Yeah, I'm not talking about any of that today. I didn't do...
I have some very minor stuff, not in my notes, but I have some minor stuff that I know that I read about.
Yeah.
So I can
for sure
touch on those.
Yes, please. Yeah. It's a longer movie. It's about an hour and 42 minutes. But
which isn't too bad.
To be honest, I didn't feel that.
No.
Just because I enjoyed the movie.
Yeah.
I also, like, yes, the movie and the game are different, but obviously you want that. That's where I was going because that's what we were talking about. There we go. Because they had such good actors for the game.
Yeah.
And like
they had like A-list actors.
They had A-list actors for this game, and like they created such great chemistry between all of the characters, even though you can play each one in a different way.
Yeah, you can kind of pseudo dictate like the type of person they are.
Yeah.
Based on your choices.
Yeah, but like you still fall in love with this group.
Yeah.
Even if they are shitty people.
Yeah. For different reasons. You still love the group. And no, but Emma can still fuck it.
Yeah.
She can get fucked.
Emily, yeah.
She can get fucked.
Yeah. Oof.
That's the only one that has no redeeming qualities.
No, she's just a bitch.
Even in the end credits, she's still a bitch.
Yeah.
Fuck her.
Yeah. That's why when I went through and played the game where I killed everyone in the specific way I wanted to, I had Mike shoot her ass in the face.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was
Please and
like,
thank you.
this is how I want you to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. But even in this movie, like, I still thought the chemistry between the characters were great, and even though not all of them were like the best people,
Yeah.
you still
Yeah. Yeah.
like there were still those qualities in them.
Yeah. They felt human.
They felt human. For
They
sure.
felt like people. Like they had good points, they had bad points.
Yeah.
You know, there were some that had to grow to become better.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some got worse.
Yeah.
Some got better. You know, it all just depended on how things worked out. Yeah.
And also just, I love that they brought the original actor back for Hill.
Yes. Yes. So the actor who played Dr. Hill is the same one from the video game who plays Dr. Hill.
Yeah. So I guess that brings me to cast. Hill is played by Peter Stormare.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Ella Rubin is Clover. Maya Mitchell as Melanie. Belmont Camelli as Abel. Odessa Azion as Nina. Michael Camino as Max. And Ji Young Yu as Megan.
Hell yeah. They were a great cast.
Yes.
They were a perfect cast of character.
I agree. I didn't want any of them to die.
Their dynamic felt very similar to Until Dawn's dynamic.
Yeah.
They definitely had the, like, we had our hero character.
It felt a little bit more juvenile, but that's just because I think all the people in the video game they're genuinely like
they just
adults,
just got into college.
Yeah.
They were just starting college.
Yeah. And these were like what, high school kids?
No,
or were
I
they
think
college?
these were same kind of concept. They didn't really clarify that.
Yeah. I think it
where
may
they
be
were
just
in life.
because I know the people who played the characters in the video game, they are very much adults.
Yes. It's because you know the actors are
Yes.
adults, not the characters,
Yeah.
but the actors are adults.
Yes.
That's kind of the mental place.
Yeah.
But no, they
and obviously
all...
because they made every single fucking
Yeah.
one of them like either super buff or like really big boobs, you know? Like all of them.
But yeah, no, this had a really good range of people in it that had that same like dynamic between each other.
Yeah.
Was very fun.
I agree.
Definitely. But yeah.
As for the death count, I don't know.
Yeah. Truly don't know
I
because
don't know.
it's
I can't tell you either.
we don't have every single night worth of
No.
stuff.
So we don't, yeah. Well, they all have to die
Yes.
in order for the night to reset, in case that wasn't clear.
Yeah.
But-
so no one can stay alive. If well, okay. If they really wanted to, if that's how they wanted to play that game, they could have one of them could have survived if they really wanted to, but they made the mental decision
Yeah.
in the film that like
All
if
of
one of
them.
us died, we all go.
Yeah.
Like we're not getting out of this without all of us
Without
getting
all
out.
of us, yeah.
But yeah, no, our entire cast eventually at some point dies.
Yeah.
Many there's only one person who dies one time, the rest of them die many times.
Yeah.
Like a number that we can't quantify because we don't even get to see
Yeah.
all the nights.
Because they're like, oh, our
But you
names in
know,
the book.
I think they mentioned something about being there 13 nights or whatever the fuck. So
Yeah.
13 times 2, 3, 4, 5,
Five,
6
six.
people. So that is your vague reference if you really want to get into the semantics of it all. You know,
But also, not even then.
Not even
like,
then, because we
all the
also
people
don't have-
Before,
not even just that,
them.
but we also don't have the full count for Melanie.
yeah.
We don't have her full count.
Mm-hmm.
And she's technically a monster that can and can't die both at the same time. So it's kind of like, what does that work?
Yeah, I don't know.
So, yeah, the death count is definitely up there in the air.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
much in the air.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah. I can mention some of the Easter eggs. I know I've got some of
Yes.
them in here,
Yes, please.
but there's some smaller ones. Like, I will mention some of the smaller ones is that, so inside the video game, they used, like, it was very Native American based,
Yeah.
strongly, because that is where the Wendigo comes from.
Yes.
It comes from a very specific, it comes from, like, that group, the specific people, their version of it, everything like that, what it means, how it represents.
Yeah, all of the Algonquin-speaking tribes.
But not even just that, it's also inside the game, one of the mechanisms to kind of help you along, to give you hints of what to do, what not to do,
totems
are the totems. And each totem have different symbols and things like that on it. Now, in the movie, they do have some symbols on certain objects and other random stuff around it. They have it on, like, the pickaxe. Like, the pickaxe has a symbol on, like, the handle. Like, there's a couple symbols that were dotted throughout that were a hint towards the game.
That's really cool.
I think I do have it in my notes because it's part of the design of, like, the set design and stuff like that. But the chair that Megan is in at the end is a exact replica from the game. So there's a moment in the movie where they kind of show you, weirdly enough, a similar scene to what they do inside of the game. Because in the game, you're kind of figuring out the secrets of, like, what's happened, what's going on, what happened to all these miners, because that's kind of where it starts.
Yeah.
And there's a video that plays, and you get to kind of see, like, a video of a guy transforming into a Wendigo. And there's a scene very similar to that in this movie where you kind of watch someone become a Wendigo.
Yeah.
And that chair's involved in it, and that's the chair that they replicate for Megan to be sitting in.
Fuck yeah.
So it's a similar, it's an exact replica from the game. And they've got other stuff that I definitely have in here, like it has sound bites and all sorts of stuff that they've got that are replicas from the game. You want me to get into it?
Yes, please.
All right. So our lovely director, David, has directed other titles like Lights Out and Annabelle Creation. And then also the comic book adapted film Shazam. And they also had the other person that was involved in all this is Maxime Alexander on his experience, and he's the director of photography. And he was also on Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City. So they've all been on some form of a horror thing, but they've all also been on something that's from a video game or a comic.
Right.
So, which are, again, harder things to try to adapt films to.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I have it in here specifically, but I remember the director talking about the fact that, like, when they came out with the second Shazam film, they got a lot of hate for it, and he's like, wow, that sucks. I'm like, because, the comic books and video games are hard ones to adapt, and that's mainly because comic books have so many variations. Certain video games have so many variations, but they also are very specific. Video games are very specific. Comic books are very loose. And that's the difficulty between the two. So like I said, the game itself is like a 10-hour movie.
Yeah.
It's a 10-hour long movie.
Basically.
Which is a lot of work. And obviously they liked the concept, but like so the screenwriters did an expansion of the world instead of trying to do what they've already seen. So it's more Until Dawn instead of the same Until Dawn. So it's more of it.
Yeah.
It's like if this was like called Until Dawn 2, it would make sense. That would be what it would be.
Yeah.
Because technically, which has been written, technically this movie takes place after the events of the game. Lily and I
disagree.
We think it's in the video game. There's a time period, a year jump. We think it should take place between that year.
Yeah.
because it would make more sense, personally, especially because of a end credit scene, which I'm like, come the fuck
If
on.
you say it's a after, then why would you add
that end credit scene, which is like a direct reference.
Yeah.
So, but one thing that's really nice is that they were able to shoot many of the practical effects on camera. One of their things was actually being able to drive a car.
Yeah.
Because nowadays you often end up in a studio in front of things like video walls, but they decided to do it in camera. So to do that, they had everyone cram into an actual car.
Yeah.
And then you have a little piece of road that you can only get like 1 or 2 takes from. And then like the camera people are in a van behind it with a walkie-talkie. It sucks, but what reality is that you get the light interaction. So it feels more. Because they've mentioned that like there are other films that will have car scenes and it's all done on screens, and what it is that like one side of the car side is like the background is moving faster than the other, and the lighting is not interacting with the actors, and it definitely feels better when you're able to do it
in a real car.
Yeah, because then all the lights are actually playing on the characters. Also, if you love the game and the vibe and the type of kills in it, which are gory, you get more of that in this film. So they did it for fans in particular because they were like, it's fun to find all the little references and homage, even the scene with the restraint chair, like I had mentioned. I think that's very cool that they had that little nod for the fans, because I saw that chair and I was immediately like, oh my God, that's the one from the video game. That's the one from the game. This is just a fun little tidbit that I had found, which was they had to do the bathroom scene on the last day of shooting because it destroyed the set with all the blood and everything. They had to do it as their last thing.
Explosive
bathroom scene. Yeah. Because when they trap themselves inside the bathroom to try to like survive, they drink the water. And, you know, the problem is that water makes you explode.
Yep.
So it's kind of fun that like technically that scene, even though that scene was like the first couple of nights.
Yeah, it was like the third.
Yeah, literally was the last thing that was shot because it destroyed the whole set when they did it. So a lot of this with this movie, when it started and when any movie starts, they have to go into building it step by step based on the requests of the director, obviously. And in this one dogma that they had was focused on with the storytelling was the underline of how the cast was losing memory, strength, and feeling fatigued.
Yeah.
Because you have to think, you can't drink water. You suddenly realize the water is dangerous, you can't drink it. You can't eat food because if the water's dangerous, the food's dangerous, if you find any.
Yep.
So multiple nights, not eating, not drinking, that's a lot on the human body. And also being repeatedly killed over and over and over again. One of the fun little details that was in the movie is that you'd see them be killed. When they wake up the next time around, they would have like a memory imprint,
like a scar almost.
Like a scar, a memory imprint of that death. So like one of them got killed through the eye, so his whole eye socket is all like got a dark shadow around it. So each time they went around, they would get like a new memory scar of it, which is kind of fascinating, which also leads to the idea of feeling fatigued. You're being constantly killed, you're having to run, you're being panicked.
Yeah.
It's a whole fucking thing.
So each time your body's not able to heal properly.
Exactly. And there's a lot of factors from a cinematography point of view that you barely see in the film, but you probably feel. A lot of the camera movements was impacted by the deaths and themes. One challenging aspect was the fact that the cast is made up of 5 characters and keeping all 5 of them within the frame, especially giving some of the shots involving practical effects.
Yeah.
So going back to the car example, it's just someone driving a car, but also there's a storm outside and a camera moving inside the car. So it's not simple. There's a lot of moving parts to make it look like they're just driving down the road.
Yeah.
Like for a scene that's just them driving through a rainstorm, arguing in a car about whether they should stop or not. How many people have experienced that before? But imagine the level of difficulty of trying to get that to look right.
Or on screen.
On screen is crazy. And
like there's no set or a bunch of people in
Yes.
the background or a camera in the car.
Exactly.
Or...
having other cars trailing you so you get different shots
Yeah.
of the car. So another thing. So something that they hadn't seen really done too much otherwise is leaning into the fact, which they did with a lot of the cinematography, leaning into the fact that your eyes get used to the dark, which I'm going to have to rewatch this film to watch this happen because it's fascinating. There's one scene in the movie where all the lights go out and you can't see anything.
Yeah.
And they need to use flashlights. But as the scene goes on, you see more and more as it's lit more and more, with the thinking that, well, if you're in that situation, in a situation like that, your eyes start to get more adjusted to it. So there's multiple times in the movie where it goes dark, but the lighting matches what it would look like if you were there.
Into a dark room.
Exactly. You would slowly start to gain your vision back.
Yeah.
But it would be different. So I think that's very cool that
That is very cool.
they filmed
they thought about
some
it,
stuff
that-
like that.
Yeah.
Is very fun and very interesting. And it's a small touch. It's a very small piece, but it's an interesting piece to look out for next time.
Yeah.
And I will definitely be looking for all of those little symbols and Easter egg other stuff.
Yeah.
But this is another fun part because they actually got audio files from the game developers for the movie.
Oh.
So one thing that they had to change a little about the Wendigos, and specifically from the game, is that in the game they are extremely long-limbed,
Yeah.
lanky
Yes.
creatures. They're very
They're very tall.
very tall, very morphed.
Yeah.
Their whole bodies have extended and elongated.
Yeah.
And since they wanted to do as much practical effects as they could, they wanted to feel like there was actual Wendigos with the cast. So when they cast people for them and put them in makeup, they tried their best to find the tallest, the skinniest people, because they were actually filming in Budapest. That's where the movie was filmed, was in Budapest. They actually hired dancers
Oh.
so that they could move their bodies in interesting ways to give them a non-human feeling. And I think that really came across. Obviously, video games are video games, and you can literally make anything look the way that you want it to. So yes, the Wendigos are going to look different betwing the movie and the video game.
Yeah.
But that does not
didn't
change
bother
the
me.
fact
I actually
that they're
preferred
still
that it
fucking
looked like
creepy.
it. Yeah, because also, like... Oh, well, I guess it doesn't take that long, because... Who was it? Hannah was the one who turned into the Wendigo in the game?
Yes.
Spoiler alert. But it's been out for like a
Hannah?
decade now. Yeah.
Well, none of them... Okay. Well, depends. None of them become Wendigos.
His sister does.
None of the main cast, I'll
no,
say.
I'm talking about...
But yes.
I'm saying it only took a year for her to look
For
like
her to
that.
fully be transformed.
Yeah, so I was about to say...
And then again, we're also not... It's been a year and she looks like that. We don't know how quickly from the point of infection to the point of full transformation. Because even at the end of the game, we see Josh and he's already starting to like teeth and shit. And he's barely been down there. He's just a broken mind.
Yeah.
He's been down there for like, what, a day? And he's already starting to morph and change. So,
Whew,
yeah. It's crazy. The video game is very cool. Go play it.
Many times, because you never know what's going to happen.
Exactly. So, practical effects have been a staple of the horror movie genre, obviously. They've been used to pull off deaths, dismemberments, and everything in between.
Mm-hmm.
So, for this, they wanted to draw on the background for Until Dawn. And they break down how practical effects were used for one scene where a character's face is repeatedly smashed into the ground. Rather than using CGI, the director was able to use editing and prosthetics to make the whole thing look like it was played out in one cut. Another one of the deaths, they detailed a sequence which a character is suddenly stabbed through the back with a pickaxe. They explain the fact that the pickaxe was actually made with cardboard for the test sequence, and then it's swapped out for a real prop later. And the character being lifted up was pulled off by having the actress stand on a chair. So when she begins to float, she's actually standing on a chair. And then they just digitally remove the chair from the scene.
Yeah.
And then it's a fun glimpse into their making process. And then, so in the trailer for Until Dawn, you do get a scene where one of the character has a worm crawling out of a hole in her face.
Ew. Ew.
This is an example of both practical effects and CGI being used together.
Oh.
The worm itself was designed and created by a group called Applied Art FX. And some CGI was used to hide the seams of the prosthetic, which go up to the ear of the actress. So that whole worm thing was a real object.
No.
Fuck that nonsense.
Yeah.
And we didn't even get to see that whole... Here's the thing. There are so many of those death knights. I want this now to be a video game because I want to see all those death knights. Are you kidding me? I want to see what the fuck happens to her with that worm in her face. Because we see the worm. She looks kind of normal. The worm vanishes up her face.
Yeah.
And then she turns and she's like, where'd it go? And then she turns back and the whole side of her face is like starting to warp into something.
Yeah.
Something else. I'm like, what the fuck happened there? What was that?
Right.
What was happening for that night? There's so much crazy shit that happens because there's so many possibilities. So many possibilities.
Yeah. Literally all the possibilities.
For real. But yeah, no, that's my notes on it all. It's very good, very fun.
Okay.
Alrighty. Now give me your goods.
I've been waiting for this one.
You have been. Because you love Wendigos.
I love the Wendigos. I love them. Well, not really. I just, they're crazy and cool.
You're fascinated by them
Yes.
because of Until Dawn.
Yes. Absolutely. So, Wendigos.
Mm-hmm.
I think y'all know where I was going with that one.
Oh, yeah.
The lore, the mythology of this cannibalistic monster. So, the Wendigo. It's from the spiritual tradition of North American Algonquin speaking tribes. That is where it originates. I believe they said that it was somewhere in Canada, like more like the Quebec area.
Yeah.
Up there where it is winter, because they are associated with winter, and they're described as either fearsome beasts that stalk and eat humans, or spirits that possess humans, causing them to turn into the cannibals. Which I know we talked about that a little bit. Like some people,
which is more what the video game focuses on.
Yeah, the video game focus on
like a spirit of the Wendigo.
Then the spirit of the Wendigo is just released.
And then if someone decides to consume human flesh,
that is
then
when
the spirit
they're possessed.
Possesses the body.
Which
is also just a fascinating concept.
There are actually lots of different spellings and pronunciations for Wendigo. I don't even know, and I apologize. I want to say Ojibwe.
Ojibwe?
Yeah. In Ojibwe, The term is defined as a winter cannibal monster, but its name comes from the Algonquin word Winneko wa, which means owl.
Oh. Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I don't know.
Fascinating.
I don't know where that comes from or why, but
Because it's a night creature that can see in the dark, maybe?
fair enough.
Because in the video game, I know that they've got
It's the
heat sensor.
Yeah.
That's their vision, is heat sensor. And it plays a lot into some aspects of the
And
video
I
game.
think they say that just because fire is the way you kill them. So, of course, if they're like these really crazy
And they're very
OP monsters.
they're very much the concept of they're like T-Rex. If you stand still, they can't see you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an aspect in the video game where you have quick time events where you have to stand still as just a Wendigo is just sniffing around you,
Yup.
like inches from your face, but they just can't see you because they're blind.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I will say, I don't know, do you have it about the difference between the Wendigos in the game versus the Wendigos in the movie?
Do you?
Because we've talked about it. You just mentioned it.
Mm-hmm.
The Wendigos in the game, they are, I refer to them as free range Wendigos.
Yeah, we talked about
We
this.
talked about it the other day.
This is great.
I refer to the video game Wendigos as free range Wendigos because they are natural born Wendigos. They are a spirit that then possesses a body. Whereas the Wendigos from the movie Until Dawn are lab grown Wendigos because they are, the way that it's explained is that increased encounters of fear and anxiety and panic then lead to someone becoming a Wendigo. So that's kind of why they're stuck in a loop, encountering fear and death and panic and sadness, is because that then leads them to become a Wendigo. So it's two very different versions of Wendigo. One that's scientific based, one's that's more supernatural based.
Yeah.
Free range versus scientifically made.
Pick your
poison.
choose your player,
Yeah, exactly.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, we don't really know if the Wendigos in the movie are blind. I think that they are. I think they're blind as well.
I think they are too.
Yes. Yes. Because there's another hint towards, and I forgot to mention this, there's another, there's two situations that happen inside the movie that very, very heavily hint towards the video game. There's one where Clover is by herself in a space where the lights are flashing red, and there is a Wendigo there chasing her.
Yeah, yep.
She has to hide. And she's hiding there, and she's hiding still with the light covered. And the Wendigo is right there.
Yeah.
That is a direct pull from the video game.
Yeah.
Because there are quick time events where you have to sit still as a Wendigo is checking out the area because they're trying to see if you're there.
Yeah. What I also love was like the other quick time events that you could see in the game.
Yes. Especially the end. The end is like the most obvious one that's there.
That's when I clocked it like
because
the most.
It's Dr. Hill's ranting. You get the shot of Clover seeing the pipe of water dripping, and then he turns his back. You can almost see the decision between her, because there's also a knife that's there. So it's her deciding knife or the cup. So she picks you see the choice, and then you see her pick cup. And then you see her have to do the quick time event of moving the cup over and moving it back.
Before he
sees it. So you can really see the inspiration of where they pull certain things directly from the game, which is very fascinating.
Yeah, I loved that.
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah.
Very cool.
But back into your stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the next thing would just be what they look like. Some legends say that the Wendigo is very emaciated figure, with an ash color for their skin.
Yeah.
But other people describe it as this giant creature, like we were talking about.
Yeah.
Like up to 15 feet tall.
Yeah.
That just keeps getting larger the more it eats.
Yeah.
They might have sunken eyes or glowing eyes, sharp fangs and claws, some maybe yellowed.
Yeah.
their lips are entirely chewed up
Oh,
from
yes.
like eating them.
Yes.
Because or missing.
Mhm.
Yeah, chewed up or missing just because they've eaten their lips.
Yes.
Disgusting. I don't know. This is strange. Some might have hair or be completely bald.
Yeah. Do you have in there that sometimes they're seen as like having
Horns,
yeah,
antlers. Yeah.
like a deer skull?
Yeah, or even just pointed ears.
Yeah.
Or horns or antlers.
There's definitely there's some designs and depictions of Wendigos where they've got like, which kind of come into the hair statement.
Yeah.
Because there's some people who have design, like there's some designs that you see where they've got a deer skull.
Yeah.
And then they've got the antlers and like a bit of the deer hair like going down the spines, but the spines are still there and stuff. So that kind of plays into that.
I thought this was kind of gross. So a lot of the times we're like in the game and in the movie, it's like, oh, you hear them and that's how you know they're around.
Yes.
But actually, it's usually first detected by humans by their disgusting scent.
Oh, yeah.
Because they smell like rotting flesh.
Yes. Because that's literally what they are.
Yeah. So you don't hear them or see them, you smell them first.
Yeah.
Before they get there, which is crazy.
Because talking about hearing, one of the things that came from the video game, I don't think they play with it in the movie. Which is, at least in the video game, they talk about Wendigos mimicking.
Yeah.
People, like people's voices. And there's definitely scenes in the video game where you think you hear a friend of yours like in trouble, and in reality that's like a death scene.
Yep.
Because it's a Wendigo mimicking.
But it's crazy because it's pretty much like every time somebody's like screaming or
calling for help. That's always usually a Wendigo.
Not video games teaching us not to go save our friends. Save yourself first.
Yeah. That's why they say always put your own mask on first.
Yeah. For sure. I think Wendigos are super, super OP.
Yeah.
They have some in the game, they're blind.
Yes.
But
in the game and in the movie.
In the movie. But in lore, they actually are believed to have exceptional eyesight.
Which would make sense for the reference towards owls.
Yeah.
Which would make sense.
Hearing.
Nocturnal.
Yeah.
Just being able to see really well. Yeah.
Sharp eyesight, hearing, and sense of smell. They're also super strong, super fast, because they have to be able to stalk and then kill their victims.
Yep.
And they, like I was mentioning before, they live in the colder climates.
Yes.
Like in the woods. So more in Canada and northern U.S.
So the scenery for the game of it being like the mountainous wilderness of the snowy mountains is a perfect setting for it.
Yeah. The video game also got this wrong, but a shaman may be the only person who can subdue and destroy a Wendigo.
I think that they mention that shamans are the ones that, I think they mention it, or at least the dude who's trapping and containing them is mentioned something about shamans.
Yeah. Yeah, but this is very specific because that's one specific legend where a shaman has to use silver, steel, or an iron bullet or a dagger.
Huh. Very
vampire
and werewolf.
Werewolf.
It's very.
Oh yeah, the silver.
Because you know the like weird enough The Witcher, you use iron.
Yeah.
He has a iron sword for fighting against monsters because that's a repellent.
Yeah. But there are some legends that say that the Wendigo's heart has to be cut out and melted or burned before its spirit is.
Huh. I mean, that's still a reference towards fire.
Yeah.
Because you would burn or melt it doing the same way, which is interesting. It's nice that they were able to tie that in, the burning. Yeah, the video game wasn't too bad in its use of some references. Like, they still kept, like, the fire, the burning concept. You know, the fact that, you know, they exist in a certain way is very interesting.
For sure. I mean, they came. So in the North American tribes, before the Europeans came to North America and all the whatever happened, basically the Wendigo came about as a cautionary tale, as they always do, about the importance of community.
Yes.
To guard against individual greed, selfishness, and isolation.
Yeah, because they're very gluttonous creatures.
Mm-hmm.
They're always hungry. They're always eating, but they're never satisfied.
Yeah. That's why the Wendigo was created as a personification of the cold and hunger.
Yeah.
In a time when human survival relied on sticking together and
because if you went
resources.
off by yourself, you were very likely to die.
Yeah. Especially during the long winters.
Yeah. Even if you were one of the most experienced hunters, and like it back then, it was way worse than sometimes even the stuff now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there are only a couple instances of like where people have actually brought this to like reality. Where a few instances of murder and cannibalism were blamed on the Wendigo.
Yeah. Which wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. There were definitely many instances of cannibalism back in the day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's several serial killers in old stories.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when people were trying to go to the West.
Yeah.
That was a big one.
Yeah.
People trying to be innovative and take non-trodden paths. And I'm just like, you gonna die, sir. Gonna die. But go ahead.
Yeah. Well, the first case... Okay. I'm going to talk about it a little bit. So the first case was in Canada in 1879, where this hunter and trapper claimed a Wendigo spirit had entered his dreams and told him to eat his family.
Blame the Wendigo.
Yeah. He was tried for murder and found guilty and then hung for his crimes.
Yeah. Because you fucking killed and ate your family.
Yeah, but then literally less than 30 years later, in 1907, there was, among the Sandy Lake First Nation community in Ontario, Canada, there was a tribal shaman, Jack Fiddler, and his brother, Joseph Fiddler. They were charged with the murder of Joseph's daughter-in-law, whom they had strangled to prevent her from becoming possessed by a Wendigo.
Yeah.
But after they were arrested, Jack escaped the police and then strangled himself. And then Joseph died from tuberculosis 2 years later. So it was like...
Yeah.
Okay. But... Yeah, there's also, lots of, how to say...
Can't think. Brain no work.
It's thinking. The words just are not coming out. I'm like, yes.
Word.
As for the Wendigos themselves, legend or not, there have been, for centuries, many Indigenous artists and activists who have taken the Wendigo and literally and metaphorically used it to address issues like colonialism, violence,
which makes sense,
environmental destruction, because of just where they come from and their history and how they are serving like
a creature that's perpetually hungry.
Yeah, and the whole point of it was for community and for sticking together. Yeah. And being nice to each other. Yeah. And appreciating what's in front of you. Yeah. So that's that.
Yeah.
On the Wendigos.
On the Wendigos. Because we've touched on Wendigos a little bit.
Yes. Absolutely. Because I know I've talked about it because we've talked about Until Dawn. So yeah, I've definitely said some things.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I got for this one.
Got one star?
I do.
Let's do it.
All right. This random movie uses the IP of a beloved horror video game to take advantage of its cult status and make some cash out of it. Classic bait and switch. I'm pretty sure the title of this one star was called Until Yawn.
Oh my fuck.
I forgot to put that, but I thought that was funny. Anyway, classic bait and switch. Obviously, I get why they're going with the new story and characters. I wouldn't want to just see the game plot rehashed, considering the game is already essentially a create-your-own-adventure movie. I kind of see what they're going for with the death looping thing, like trying to incorporate the concept of branching paths and different endings, but that doesn't mean you have to throw the whole source material in the garbage. The charm of Until Dawn lies in its specific atmosphere and tone, the snowy and cold atmosphere. The Native American folklore woven into the Wendigo legend and the teen melodrama between the characters. Without its core elements, what's the point of calling it Until Dawn? I hate this trend of directors and writers thinking they're better than the original source material. It almost never works out. This is completely unrecognizable to the Until Dawn brand.
And that's where you're wrong.
Yeah. I picked this one because it actually had...
It had stuff that actually had talking points.
Yeah.
And it had stuff where it's like, yes, it is not exactly like the game.
Mm-hmm.
But... And you made a statement about the fact that you wouldn't want them to just rehash it because it is its own. You can't. Which ending do you pick? Like we've said, it's a 10-hour movie. You can't recreate that and not piss somebody off.
Right.
I think that the way that they went about it was very smart. They still had the fun of a group of people struggling. They did have the video game elements in there in little hints and little dashes, but to say that they had no references or no
they
source
said they
material
completely
stuff,
threw it in the garbage.
I'm like, no, they didn't. They used bits and pieces of it again, and also complaining about their location. That's semantics.
I like how they say the whole game was about it being cold, Native Americans, and teen melodrama.
The whole game was teen melodrama.
Yeah. Period.
Like, that was the game. The cold and everything else was just like... Setting.
You can do that anywhere.
Anywhere. Literally. This movie had teen melodrama. It had a mystery. It had a mystery of a missing sister. It had the same concepts. It just... Like, you're not paying attention to the reality of it.
Yeah.
Because Until Dawn, sister, gone.
Literally.
Both of them focused on someone trying to figure out something about what happened to their sister.
And the group of them.
And the group of teens.
Going together on the anniversary.
Friends and enemies.
Of the year.
Enemies. Dr. Hill, for fuck's sake.
Dr. Hill.
They kept him as a definite reference.
Wendigos.
So it's there. Saying that the source material is not there is inaccurate.
Looping like it's a fucking video game.
They even had the mask killer.
Yes.
Designed to look like
the masked killer.
The masked killer from the game.
I don't understand where
like the references were there.
Yeah. You don't need it to be cold and snowy. It was dark and rainy, which is the same fucking thing.
Exactly. It was always nighttime because it was very rare because it's literally the game, well, not the game, the movie kind of starts like their nights of repeat start right as it's getting dark.
Yeah.
So that's the whole point.
Mm-hmm.
They reset right as it's getting dark. So it's never daytime when shit's happening.
Yeah.
The only time we actually get daytime again, it's at the beginning of the movie and at the very end is when we get daytime.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. So I don't know. Because I like it.
Yeah, it was very good. It was very fun.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very good movie.
Yeah.
I will be happy when it comes out on a platform.
Yes.
To watch.
Yeah.
Very happy.
I wonder what platform they'll put it on first.
I'm curious. We'll see.
I think Max.
That would make sense. That would feel right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Or Peacock. I could also see it on Peacock.
Peacock too.
Because that's Universal already.
Yeah, that's true.
So I could see that.
Mm.
But yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's our lovely episode here.
Universal, please.
I know, right?
Do an Until Dawn house.
I would love that so
hard.
I
beg. Where you can also have 2 different endings.
Yo. Yes.
You've done it once.
Mm-hmm. You did.
Did we forget about Dueling Dragons?
It was so good. It was so much
I don't
fun.
think anybody forgot about Dueling Dragons.
I think it would be very fun. It'd be very fun.
It'd be very fun.
But yeah, no, our next episode is gonna be Oddity.
That one was an odd one.
Yeah.
For sure.
But it's good. I liked it. It was very it's not a hyper intense film.
No.
This movie Until Dawn had a lot of deaths and things like that.
Very action focused.
The other one is much more, we've been playing a lot so far with doing movies that have like a lot of like death and really intense stuff. And then also going back to like psychological. It's a cerebral.
I like our back and forth.
It's very nice. It's very nice. But yeah, so Oddity is going to be our next one. Remember, any suggestions and other such like that, send us an email at horrorunmasked@gmail.com. Remember, like, subscribe, hit bells and all the good stuff. Share us around. And then you can listen to us on all of the places. Again, don't forget, let us know if there's anywhere else that you'd like us to be on. And I think with that,
there's only one thing left to ask. Will you fear?
Or will you fear not?